Hi, welcome to DOL Dignity of Labor KTC series. Know the course. Today we have Harshvardhan with us. He's an ECE graduate. Hi, Harshvardhan.
Hi Mahendra,
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing great. Thanks for asking. And thanks a lot for accepting our invitation. So, just to quickly start off with, can you give us a brief introduction about yourself and what ECE is all stands for?
Yeah, sure. So, hi everyone. I'm Harshan Tripathi. I'm a EC graduate from the 2022 batch in IT Trichy. I currently work in Visa as a senior software engineer. It has been a little short of 2 years since I am working here. I'll
Hmm.
be completing 2 years in a couple of weeks. Well,
Nice.
what ECE is all about, it's there in its name, Electronics and Communication Engineering. It's a mixture of two core branches of engineering, which are basically electronics engineering and communication engineering. Like earlier, there used to be separate disciplines, especially for electronics and for communication. But currently, ECE is one of the branch, which is kind of hybrid of them, but considered a core branch nowadays. And various different branches and specializations stem out from it.
Okay, nice. So, what are the real life applications, or how do you explain that you're an ECE graduate to a layman, if you have to?
Yeah. So EC graduates, what EC graduates do is basically everything that you will find around yourself. Starting from your laptop, your phones, the headphones that you are having, the light in your background, everything you'll probably in the current age, you'll find an electronic item to it.
Hmm.
There have been ages of engineering. Earlier we had mechanical age. We had a boom in civil industry as well. Then we had a boom in IT.
Yeah,
And currently and in future, what I consider would be the boom for ECE, because recently you all might have heard about generative AI,
correct.
especially with the advent of OpenAI and ChatGPT. What is driving that are the GPUs built by NVIDIA,
Hmm.
and many different electronic fabrication firms are in race to build GPUs as small and as fast as possible. So GPU industry is going to take over. We have IoT, which is a very recent specialization as a part of ECE that's coming up.
Hmm.
We might also see applications of quantum engineering stemming out from ECE as well.
Okay, that's nice.
Apart from that, towards the communication side, your calls that you make, the
Yeah.
shows that you watch on your TV, the internet that you are able to use, all are part of communication engineering. Then, for example, let's say the Chandrayaan that we recently sent,
Hmm.
that was built by EC engineers in ISRO.
Correct.
What SpaceX is doing or NASA is doing, these are just the final forms of what communication engineering is. Mechanical, you are able to launch of satellites on rockets.
Correct. Yeah. Like once you start building individually in each discipline and then collaborate, you make a bigger product and higher impact. Totally agreed. So, if at all someone who is in 10th or 12th grade wants to know whether they have to choose
Correct.
EC or not, what are some prerequisites that one should have?
Okay. First thing would be for majority of engineering disciplines, like not just for ECE, you should be pretty decent in math.
Hmm.
Like it shouldn't be a subject that you are
Scared of.
studying as a burden.
Hmm.
You really should be liking and enjoying solving any of the math problem or derivation, because the
Hmm.
maths that comes during engineering and after that is really different from what you do till 12th.
Correct.
Like especially the BTech math, it is kind of comparable to masters in math.
True.
What people study in their masters in math is pretty much similar to what we study in RBTech. Other than that, there are few chapters in class 11th and 12th. EMI and AC is one chapter in physics. Then semiconductor physics is another branch that you should have a liking of or
Hmm.
interest at least. If you enjoy learning about these, how semiconductors work, what are their applications, then ECE is probably the branch for you.
Okay, that's nice. So, do do someone has to really know more about coding or an inclination towards coding when one is interested to choose ECE?
That's true. So in the current age, it's ideal if you know a bit of programming in any discipline, be it
Hmm.
engineering or non-engineering. Especially in engineering, the non-core branches, there are new applications of programming, but for core branches, programming applications have always been there, because
Correct.
regardless of the time over the last few decades, the electronics engineers have been programming chips and all.
True.
Uh, Microprocessor is a subject that is there in both ECE and computer science.
Hmm.
So again, programming is required there too. You need not to be an expert in programming or what we call in the buzz terms coding, but it should be something that you have to get your hands dirty with.
Okay, that's nice. So Harsh, when we say a 4-year course, you will have a lot of subjects. But if you have to bucket them, what would be the prime buckets of subjects that one would deal in easy graduation time?
Okay, as it's easily guessable, there are two major buckets.
Mm-hmm.
One is electronics, one is communication.
Mm-hmm.
In electronics, you can again separate it in digital electronics and analog electronics.
Mm-hmm.
And communication, you start with signals and systems. You learn basics about how signals are generated, how you how you perform the modulations. Then it evolves into digital signal processing, which further leads you into communication systems, where you kind of learn about how radars are communicating, how
Yeah.
satellites communicate, all the derivations involved with that. Other than that, in yeah, again coming back towards electronics itself, we do study about EMW,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of in between both electronics and communication, more towards communication. It forms the basis of how all the communication systems work, because EMW is basically your radio and microwaves.
Yeah.
So all the tech that you see in market, typically your 5G and coming 6G,
Yeah.
those are based on those principles only. If you are someone interested in that industry, those are subjects that you will have to put your utmost focus on.
Agreed. So out of all these subjects, like what is the toughest subject according to you, or the popular toughest subject for the graduates? And is how much portion of your course is into, pure labs rather than theoretical?
Okay. Let me answer the second part first.
Mm-hmm.
There are no subjects that are just lab,
Mm-hmm.
and there are probably very few subjects that are just theoretical.
Okay.
Almost majority of our subjects were a combination of lab and theory.
Agreed.
So there are a lot of things that you will need to learn, you need to practice, and then you need to apply them in lab as well. Now, what could be considered as the most difficult subject? Though I didn't find it difficult,
Mm-hmm.
but people generally say both signals and system and digital signal processing are the toughest part for ECE,
Okay.
because they have a lot of derivations
Mm-hmm.
along with a lot of scope for problem solving. Like you
Okay.
won't get direct answers there, even if you are curious. So if
Okay.
you are trying to do any research on your own as well, that is bound to make you sweat a bit.
Okay, that's good to hear. So, Azure, if someone is really keen of learning or overcoming this toughest subject, what are the other avenues that one can, have a pre-read or prepare before itself, so that they are not losing out of the track?
Okay, the basis of communication, like the signals and system and DSP, they come out from calculus only.
Mm-hmm.
So you should be having a good hand on calculus and
Okay,
the engineering mathematics, which any student who goes into engineering program would
engineering,
study in their first two semesters.
correct. Okay,
That
so
would be of help.
mm-hmm.
Other than that, it's more of how much you can learn in second and third year.
Okay.
It's advanced application of maths, if I have to put it that way.
True. Okay. So, assume if someone is if someone is from not from a premier college where they don't have much of access to several resources, what would be the go-to resource, or any books or any websites or any YouTube channels which can guide or detail out these concepts if you are aware of some?
Okay. With access to information nowadays, it really doesn't matter if you are from a premier college or not.
Mm-hmm.
Like at max, the difference would be between the quality of professors and the vast
Peers.
libraries and labs. For
Okay.
labs, government of India does provide you virtual labs,
Mm-hmm.
which is what they started during COVID. So students from premier college and non-premier college both alike were using the same labs to do their experiments. There are a lot of softwares that would provide you student scholarship,
Mm-hmm.
which you can use to learn. A good quality resource would be the NPTEL videos
Okay.
if you want to study the subject on your own and learn theory of it. Uh, they really have pretty good quality information, if I would have to put it that way, and you can have deeper understanding of the subject if you can finish those modules.
Okay. That's nice. So, assume if some EC aspirant is coming to you and asking, you might had certain regrets after completion of your 4 years, or you might have planned something and you might not have achieved, maybe, maybe not. If you have to guide someone who is an upcoming EC aspirant or joining any EC course, what would be the yearly milestone that you would tell him or her that you should achieve this, such that you will have a wide variety of opportunities out there?
Okay, One thing that I would definitely advise would be to, first one, keep your CGPA handy.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure it doesn't drop below a certain level. Any day it should be above 8 to be
Mm-hmm.
comfortable in what you want to do. Then another yearly milestone, first year is generally about exploring college in itself, and second
Yeah.
year is when you would get into your subjects. In first year you would get a couple of subjects, like I'll speak from terms of NIT, you'll get a couple of subjects to know about what is in store for the next 3 years that you are going to spend.
Mm-hmm.
What you are supposed to do is you need to confirm that your interest lies in your branch,
Okay.
because even if it doesn't lie in your branch, there are a lot of opportunities in other industries like software consulting,
Mm-hmm.
where ECE graduates in particular are in very high demand. Like there
Agree.
is no shortfall of opportunities if you are good at what you are doing. Only thing is how you can apply your studies.
Yeah.
So what I did was I was pretty clear about I want to go to software even
Mm-hmm.
before completion of my first year. So I aligned
Okay.
my interests there. Uh, as long as you are regular with your classes, exams shouldn't be that big of an issue for you,
Okay.
especially the college exams. So you don't need to study that much. Like be regular, keep practicing and going, like keeping up with the course content
Course content.
should
Yeah.
be enough to give you pretty decent marks.
Yeah.
Then if someone wants to dive into EC domain itself and they are sure that okay, this
Mm-hmm.
is the industry where they want to work, then I would suggest to start having projects from your second year.
Okay.
You can participate in various hackathons. There are a lot of opportunities for EC graduates in particular because there is a lot of scope to build.
True.
If you have a strong hand at programming, that's a very big bonus for you because you will be able to kind of incorporate best of both worlds and
Correct.
create much better solutions
Yeah.
than let's say what a CS graduate can make
Mm-hmm.
or a plain EC graduate can make, because you can really combine hardware and software together.
Yeah, that is there. So, and assume after completion of the 4 years, or when a candidate is in the final year. So usually any engineer graduate will have three different options. One is going to government or corporate job, or choosing for higher studies, MBA or MS, or starting their own firm. Like starting firm is a very less of a chance if we have to focus on the other two options. Do you think there are ample amount of opportunities for all the EC graduates in these two buckets, like corporate and government jobs, and then higher studies?
Yes, I think that is the case because again, in corporate and government jobs, you will have in three sectors where you can join. One would be your core ECE.
Mm-hmm.
You can join a firm that works on electronics or communication or both. Example would be firms like Nvidia, Qualcomm, Texas Instrument, Micron, Taiwan Semiconductors. These are few of the top firms. There are many other firms like NXP Semiconductors, uh, which offer pretty amazing benefits to you.
Yeah,
Like the firms just want you to be someone who is good at their job.
agreed.
Along with that, there are excellent public firms, basically
Mm-hmm.
your government companies, PSUs, where you can do a lot of amazing work. The best one which I can think of, and one of my beloved professor would also agree with me,
Mm-hmm.
would be ISRO.
Okay.
So EC graduates can pursue a career as an ISRO scientist. Like if you clear GATE and apply for ISRO, you join as a scientist grade directly,
Yeah.
and you can be part of some really amazing projects as government is also willing to spend a lot on space projects. Then if you're not quite interested in direct
Cool.
EC
Mm-hmm.
jobs, you have the complete software industry, which is a bit down nowadays, but we never know when it short backs up. It
Yeah.
generally has cycles of good and bad times, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm hopeful that there will be return of the good times soon.
Yeah.
In software, again, you will be competing directly with the CSE students. So you need to be a bit up in your game.
Mm-hmm.
But there won't be companies that would deny you opportunity because of your branch, because generally wherever CSE is allowed, ECE is also allowed.
Yeah, that is there.
So you can have a shot there, just that the scale of competition is a bit larger
Mm-hmm.
compared to your own domain. And you will have to really bring your A game,
Yeah.
because you will be competing with someone who studied the same exact thing for last 3 years, and you are someone who was doing it part time.
Yeah, agreed.
And final would be your consultancy jobs and analytics jobs,
Mm-hmm.
which are also pretty good. EC students are generally supposed to be good with all calculations,
Yep.
derivations. So they make a pretty solid profile for such jobs.
Agreed.
And then for hires, there are a lot of options.
Yeah.
Either you go and pursue a hires in India, or there are a lot of universities across the world, be it US or Europe, which offer pretty good programs. If you are someone who is willing to dedicate that much amount of time and build a very solid research profile, you can very well move to US or Europe for your MS and PhD. Or if you just want a post-grad degree and want a higher job in corporates directly, you can just proceed for an MS, go ahead and join firms as a master's graduate,
Mm-hmm.
and proceed to do work that is not expected from a normal graduate.
Okay.
There are a lot of universities with courses in branches that stem out of ECE. Like there is hybrid of ECE and CSE coming up, which is electronics and computing.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of universities are offering that branch in US for masters. So you won't have a shortfall. Just that you need to be good at what you do.
Agreed. So when we stick to only the core EC, what would be the range of salary that one can expect?
Okay, if we are sticking to range of salaries that one can expect, it's a big range,
Mm-hmm.
depending upon if you're working in India or outside.
Uh,
Outside, let's put it aside for now and
yeah, correct.
just look
Yes.
for India.
Hmm.
A lot of companies, the top companies, let's say Qualcomm, Samsung, Apple,
Hmm.
Google, then Nvidia offered really decent pay, and their stock shot up like 8 times. So people there, the senior folks who were working there for like 10, 15 years, they are already in their retirement mode because they are already kind of millionaire.
Yeah.
And if let's say you are a graduate and you join one of these firms, you can expect a base between 10 to 20 lakhs,
Mm-hmm.
somewhere in between, then a few of bonuses, for
Yeah.
example,
Those
some
will.
3 to 5 lakh joining bonus and yearly bonus, and some amounts of stocks. Like
Agreed.
that would really depend on which company you are going to.
Correct.
But more or less, you can expect to be paid around 8 to 20 lakhs just for your fixed component,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of the firm. As long as they are working in core, you can expect that, okay, you have a good profile and a good college, you will get something above it.
Okay. And as per the role is concerned, which is being offered, generally all the engineers get a graduate engineer trainee as the one standard thing. So once you complete that phase, like it's 9 months or 12 months, what is the roles that one would be, promoted or given to? Like what would be the role for an EC graduate?
Okay, general engineering, graduate engineering trainee is not a role that a lot of EC firms are offering nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
So generally, the firms like Qualcomm, Nvidia, Texas, they hire you at a level of associate engineer or engineer. You
Mm-hmm.
can expect to move one step in the ladder when you complete 1 year.
Okay.
So people can become engineer or senior engineer.
Okay.
uh, Once you are done with that phase, like it depends on what team you are in.
Mm-hmm.
So for people who there are, your experience increases, you will be expected to manage a team of few graduates. I have a friend in Texas Instruments who I was speaking recently, and he was saying in a few years he do expect to become a manager
Okay. That's nice.
unless he opts for an analyst later.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the general trajectory of career. You can go to some other different directions as well. If you are too much into research, you can keep going towards a research role in these firms, become a scientist. You won't have to do management jobs.
Yeah.
You'll be heavily involved directly in the research. That is also one option. In public companies, let's say ISRO, you'll become scientist, then
Yeah. So, like we all know that the Gen AI and the technology is pacing at a very faster pace than expected. So, do you think there should be any change of methodology that EC graduates to, enable any of this special skill set such that they're on par with the market requirement? And how do you see that future outlook of market for EC graduates is?
okay.
I think yes.
Yeah, Gen AI is just a tool. Though everyone in their day-to-day life, be it personal or professional, would probably be using one or the other Gen AI tool. Like let's say 5 or 10 years down the line, if they are not using now, it will probably get integrated in a lot of resources that you use. For example, your typical Google search is already experimenting with
Yes.
the Gen AI output, which many are critical of, but it's still that is something being provided to you. Uh, what ECE graduates should focus on is have their skills in machine learning and deep learning deepened, because I know a lot of folks, they work on MLDL and NLP. They work on image processing as well, even in college. So if you are planning to do ECE and you want a really stellar resume, these are few areas that you can add. You can do projects in DL or image processing. That
Okay.
will help you understand how AI works. It will also provide you a way on how you can incorporate in your job,
Okay. Yep.
because AI, as much as though it has its cons where people are scared that okay, it might take up your job, but in future you might probably just be using it to do stuff more efficiently.
Correct. Cool.
It's still something that's being experimented. It will
Yeah.
probably be in the same way for next 5 years. People will keep coming up with new ways on how you
Hmm.
use AI in every different domain. There will be folks from civil, there will be folks from mechanical who will definitely use it in one or such way. So EC graduates should just keep up with the pace.
Okay.
Like, it's just an experiment. You can come up with something that a lot of people will use in future.
That's nice. So, Harsh, what would be the last advice from you to all the upcoming EC aspirants that they should stick on for any specific basics or what they should remember all the way?
Okay. First advice I told: do not mess up with your CGPA.
Okay.
I have seen a lot of folks who do end up regretting having a lower
CG.
CGPA compared to their peers.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an advice not just for ECE, but
Mm.
especially for ECE,
Correct.
because that is a branch that will have a cutthroat competition based
Mm.
on grades. Because your grades sometimes can reflect how good you are.
Yeah.
Though a lot of times they are not the most accurate measure, but especially if you are aiming for core, that is a pretty good measure.
Okay.
Another thing would be don't stop experimenting.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of problems to be solved. There are a lot of things that you can work on, and just trust the process.
Nice. Cool. Thanks a lot, Harsh. It was great discussing with you, and you gave beautiful insights about how a EC graduate should look for a future in. Yeah, thanks a lot, and it's great to have you here. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great time, Mahin. I had a lot of fun in this whole session,
Yep.
and was good visiting back my chapter from college.
Yes. Thanks.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thanks a lot for all the viewers who have watched this episode of DOL. We would love to hear your feedback through comments. Also, please like, share, and subscribe to DOL. If you have any further queries, please reach out to us through email, LinkedIn, or TopMate. We have attached the links below in the description. Thanks a lot.